Good evening and good morning, everybody. How are you, Mayan?
Oh, thank God. Everything is great here on this side of town. Beautiful New York. How are you doing, Fen?
I'm great here. It's evening time. Uh, and today we're going to have a special guest in our podcast. We're going to have Rabbi Aharon Ariel Lavi, which is one of Blender's favorite students. Aharon studies Arabic with us, and I had the privilege to speak a little bit with Aharon. And he invited me and many other people, but I had the privilege to also come to an amazing conference in Abu Dhabi, and then we became even closer through this conference. And and then when I heard about everything Rabbi Aharon is doing, I just said, like, we have to invite him to this podcast. So, Rabbi,
Absolutely.
why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know who you are and what do you do, and then we'll go on from there. So, Rabbi, why don't you introduce yourself to the speakers?
Okay. Hi, good evening. Great to be here. My name is Rabbi Aharon Ariel Lavi. I'm married to Liat. We have 5 kids. We live in Yeshuva, which is a small village on the Gaza border. I'm the managing director of the Ohr Torah Interfaith Center. We do interfaith diplomacy, but I guess I'll talk more about it in a minute. My background, besides that, is in economics, environmental studies, history, philosophy of ideas, but primarily community building. Over the last 20 years, that was my main thing, to build communities in Israel and abroad. And I'm also a mountain biker as a hobby, a professional mountain biker, racer, and a trail wheeler. But unfortunately, I
Wow.
don't have too much time for that right now. But that's part of my experience.
You're the coolest guest so far. So
Yeah.
we couldn't have anything better than that. Rabbi, why don't you tell us a little bit about how your personal and spiritual journey led you to engage in what you do today, which is interfaith dialogue, specifically with Muslims, but not only, of course.
Well, I grew up secular, actually. I grew up in a secular family. Became religious around the age of 22 after my military service. And so I came from this world which is more like multicultural and multi-connected. And one of the first rabbis I came across, he invited me for Shabbat, was the late Rabbi Menachem Furman, Zecher Tzedek Livracha, of blessed memory. And he was really the groundbreaker in this field. He was, at least in the Orthodox, especially right-wing rabbis, he was the first and definitely the most prominent rabbi to actually engage with Muslim leaders, even leaders of Hamas back then. He had connections literally like all over the world. And I learned a lot from him. And then after he passed away, I stayed a little bit connected to this field, but not so much. And then about 2.5 years ago, I was invited by a mutual friend, introduced me to Rabbi Yaakov again, who is the head of the Ohr Torah Interfaith Center. It was the right time for me to move on from community building, which I was doing until then. And I became the managing director. And that's what I've been doing since then. And this was about 6 months before October 7th. And looking back, I think that there could not have been a better point in time
Wow.
to enter this field, because it's really, really crucial at this point. I don't see any other solution besides interfaith diplomacy in the long term.
Maybe you can tell a little bit about why you think that is, like why is interfaith diplomacy so important?
So let's first of all try and understand the problem. So the problem is that, let's look at the Israeli-Palestinian conflict or the conflicts in the Middle East. The conflict has been mythified from the word myth. So if many Muslims believe that they are Salah ad-Din and fighting the Crusaders, and funnily enough, we the Jews are not the Crusaders in this story, but never mind. And this is the myth, that this is like an epic battle for the soul of Islam. And on the other hand, you have quite a few Jews who actually believe that at least all Palestinians, maybe even all Muslims or all Arabs, are Amalek. And Amalek in the Bible is the enemies of God. So once you tag someone as Amalek, then that's it, case closed. The only option is to kill them. There's no other option. So if the debate, if the conflict is in that level of myth and stories and symbols, it's no longer soluble by regular conflict resolution theories. And there are beautiful theories at Harvard. I did my postdoc there last year during the war. Amazing books and articles about how to find resolutions and reconciliation between different interests, but they completely fall short of the promises, and they do not understand that. Let me repeat that. And they do
Sure.
not understand that international relationships and human relationships are not only about interests. They're also about identity, about what people believe in, the story that they tell themselves. And people are willing to kill, they're willing to die for their story, for what gives them a sense of meaning, a sense of belonging. And if they sort of like fell into a twisted version of their story, then you have to deal with that. You need to change the story and bring it back to something that's more soluble. And that's why I think that this kind of work, which is primarily educational and also on the media, that's why I'm so happy to be here. We need to change the paradigm, change the mindset.
That's amazing to hear what you do, and it's
Yeah.
so inspiring. I do want to know, like, what tools or approach you use to implement the build between Jews and Muslims.
Well, our basic strategy, which comes from my colleague, mentor, and superior, Rabbi, is that ideas have consequences. Okay, this is a catchphrase from the 1948. Richard Weaver became a catchphrase in Reagan's administration in the 1980s. Now, what it means is that what motivates people and dictates their decisions is not only their interests, but economics and wealth and energy and territory. It's also the ideas that move them. And now, if ideas have consequences, then religious ideas have even more consequences. And just to take a step back, yes, I'm a rabbi, I believe in those ideas. But what I'm saying now is from an academic perspective. You don't need to believe in any religion or in Judaism or anything to accept that what people believe in, this is called the Thomas theorem in sociology. What people believe in is true in its implication. It doesn't matter if it's true ontologically, if there is a God, there is no God, whatever, that doesn't matter. If people believe that this is the story, they will act upon it and the implications will be real. So you need to understand that. Now, to going back to your question, so the main tool will be engaging with the world of ideas and engaging with the essence of the story. And this goes not against, but it's different than a lot of the work being done in the field, which is what you would call interfaith dialogue. Let's have a rabbi and an imam riding a bike together and stuff like that, which I love cycling. That's my thing. But I don't think that's going to bring world peace. We need rabbis and imams talking about the essential ideas of their religion. So to that end, we have a group of rabbis, we have a Bet Midrash, a think tank, a research institution of rabbis who study Arabic, study Quran. The Arabic we study with Blender, which we're very grateful for. Study
Wow.
Islam. I believe at this point we have rabbis who know about Islam maybe more than many Muslims. We also have Muslims who study with us and they study Judaism and they study and when you study the Quran and you study the Bible side by side, the similarities are crazy. Most people don't even know how close those religions are and how close those traditions are and what's the potential for connection. Now, of course, there are difficulties. There are verses and hadith that are difficult to comprehend. There are verses in the Bible that are difficult to deal with, but that's what we need, why we need spiritual leaders to work with them.
That's why your work is so important, I think, because there's so much to talk about and to get to know each other. You know, it's also a saying in the Quran. It says "Shu'uban," which means, oh yes, people, we created you, tribes and peoples. We created you men and women, but also tribes and peoples, so that you
Right.
get to know each other. And I think you're actually doing this, which is so amazing.
Yeah, we use that verse quite a lot.
Of course,
It's a famous one, but there are many more.
of course.
And really, the idea is this goes back to another key point in what we do, which is another strategic principle, which we call connection before correction. So some people have this expectation that okay, I'm happy to have interfaith interaction, but only with imams who support Israel and love us anyway. Now there are imams, actually quite a few imams, sheikhs that are very supportive and they really understand the bigger picture, and that's great. But you can't stay only in this small pool. You need to talk to a broader audience. And connection for correction means that first we want to connect and build trust, and then
Of
we can
course.
see what kind of ideas we can change. And it has to be built on deep respect. If you don't respect the other religion, if you see them
Right.
as a historical mistake, as something that should not have happened, that let's say from the Muslim side, you think that Judaism has run its course and it's now time for it to step down of the stage of history, or if you're a Jew that think that Islamic Christianity was just a terrible mistake at some point in history, and now you need to correct it and bring everybody back, then you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, you will get to more war and more bloodshed, but that's not what we're trying to do.
Wow. Maybe you could share with us an example of one connection. You talked about connections before correction, so maybe a connection that led to a correction, or something that just really touched you deeply, maybe something that shifted your perspective or inspired you, or the other side, or both.
Well, there are so many. Let me give you one from literally last night, okay? Let's talk
Wow.
about the Abrahamic family, Christians, Jews, and Muslims. So part of what we do, I have a group of Christians from the States that I study with. We study Bible together, primarily Shemitah. Shemitah, that's the sabbatical year. That's my thing. I have a whole book about it. And on the other hand, I have Pakistani friends. And I just talked to one of them a few days ago, a sheikh. I don't know if you know that there still are terrible floods in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Probably due to climate change, but there are the floods combined with earthquakes, something really, really terrible. So I talked to him, and nothing I can really do, but just to send my support. And a day later, I get a message from a Christian woman in Florida, who sends me a message to ask first if I'm okay because I live on the Gaza border and all that. But then she tells me, I know you have Pakistani friends. Are they okay?
Wow.
Like, how are they doing with all the floods and all that? Because she doesn't know anyone in Pakistan. She's American. So, to give you another example, about a month ago, with all the mess going on in southern Syria, Sweda
Yep.
and Dara and that area with the Druze. So all of a sudden, I get a call from a Sunni Syrian sheikh who lives in Australia, who has many sheikhs there. He's an old guy, so he has his like younger disciples on the ground in Syria, and he called me to see if I can help mediate between them and the Druze, because we have connections to the Druze leadership here in Israel.
Wow.
So all of a
That's
sudden,
crazy.
as a
Wow.
rabbi, you find yourself mediating
That's
between like Sunnis and Druze in the Middle East.
oh my God.
So I can't go into more details than that. I cannot
Right.
tell you that we brought peace to the region, but we were trying to push the needle in the right direction. And it's all about trust, because you don't need to agree on everything. But if you trust one another,
Yep.
then you can achieve many things.
I completely
Wow.
agree. Trust is the most important thing.
I'm really impressed. And I did want to refer back for a second. You said you live on the border of Gaza, right?
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that experience?
Well, I can talk about October 7th specifically, or the recent experience. But living on the border. Give me a second too, because here I need to be very, very careful. Okay, so you need to give me a minute
Take
just
your time.
Of course.
So I'll tell you this. I was here on October 7th. Okay, it was a holiday. I was with my community. We're dancing, celebrating the ending of reading of the Torah and the beginning of the next cycle. And it was 6:28 when the alarm started, and we thought like another day of missiles, like we were pretty used to, as crazy as it sounds, but that's what we've been accustomed to. And after a couple hours, we started to realize that it's a different event. I'm also a medic on my IDF reserve duty. I'm a combat medic, so they called me out. We opened like a field hospital on the outside the Moshav. We started getting all the wounded from Be'eri and Nachal Oz and Kfar Aza, those areas.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I've been a medic for like 20 something years. I've never seen so many wounded soldiers and civilians in one day.
Of course.
And it was a very close encounter with what I would call the weaponization of religion. What happens when you turn religion into a weapon, and how boundless it is. Like there are literally no boundaries. It took us days and weeks to understand what really happened, and how many people were murdered, and how many people were taken hostage, how many women were raped, and people burned alive. Like at the time, we didn't really understand what was going on. But now that we have not the full picture, but a more accurate picture of what happened, for me, it was an example of what the Talmud says. I'll say it in Hebrew first. It says about the Torah, "Zacha nafsal osam chaim," which means that if you are privileged or lucky enough, or if you make if you made the right choices, then the Torah will be an elixir of life for you. It will be a potion of life. But if
Yes.
you made it the wrong decisions, it can be also a potion of death. It's the same book.
Wow.
Okay, it's this book. It's the same. This is the Arabic version. This is the Hebrew version. The same book, same text, can have a completely diametrically opposed implications. And I think the same goes also for the Quran. And you can see. So it actually. No, the initial response, or maybe a natural response, would be, okay, I'm done. Like I've done, at that point, I was doing like 6 months as the managing director of the Ohr Torah Interfaith Center. I could have said, okay, guys, this is not going anywhere. Look at October 7th. Let's just build a big army and protect ourselves. And, like, there's no other option. Which many people said, by the way. Many people left the interfaith field over the last 2 years. But me and Rabbi Yaakov and other rabbis and other imams decided not to give up. And actually, what we've seen since then is a growth in the field. So not with everybody, but let's say the conference that's where we met.
Yes.
We just started talking about the next conference, starting to organize it. It's going to be in April next year. We had a delegation of imams to Morocco together. We had a declaration with imams in Cape Town 3 weeks ago. Because I think what I experienced, this like, okay, Torah, Quran, religion can go in two ways. I
Yes,
think
we need
many
to
Muslims
choose.
got it, right? And many Muslims got it also at the same point. And they tell us
Yep.
that the Muslim Brotherhood and the Muslim-based violence is a bigger threat to them than it is to us, and that's very important to understand. 97% of the people murdered by ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hamas, all those organizations are Muslims,
Of
not
course.
Jews, not Christians.
Yeah.
They
Right.
murder Muslims in the Middle East more than they murder anyone else, because anyone that they think is not really follows their line is for them an infidel, a kufar, a kafir, and for them there's only one choice: to kill them. So only one option. So many people realize that it's not Jews against Muslims. That's not the story. And that's what I said earlier. Our effort is to change the paradigm, change the context, change the story. So the story is not Jews against Muslims. The story is moderate, real, devout worshippers of God against blasphemers, people who twist our own traditions and use them as a weapon.
Exactly.
And those people are
Yes.
not religious. Let me make this clear. They're
Right.
not more religious than we are, and that's why, because they're more violent, they're more devoted. No, they have a twisted perception. Most of them are pretty ignorant. They don't even know. I mean, you quote Quran better than they do, and
Of course.
so it's not to be confused. I mean, religious devotion is not to be confused with violence and aggression. That's
Right.
actually these are
It's
two
the other way
opposites.
around. It's the
It's the
other
other
way
way around.
around.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about
I
peace and
agree.
love and connection. If you're serving God, you shouldn't be with hate and killing each other. That shouldn't be part of the equation. It's
It's
complete
not godly.
counterintuitive. You're so fascinating. I'm like listening to you and I can't even talk because I just keep wanting to hear what you're doing. And it's
Same
incredible. I
feeling.
mean, you're changing the world. It's crazy. It's exactly what we're trying to do here on a much smaller scale, of course, but you're literally the definition of our mission here, which I definitely commend you for. So thank you so much for that work. How can we influence just the regular day-to-day Muslims or regular day-to-day Jews to join our mission and help with dialogue between the faiths?
Well, here we come to social media, and I can tell about social media what I just said about the Torah and the Quran. That social media can be a portion of life, and it can be a portion of death. And it depends on what we do with that. It's a tool. Now it had a big promise when it first showed, like in 2006, 7, when Facebook started, and then it exploded in many other networks. That it's going to connect people and bring some sort of a connection to the world. But eventually, what it created is silos and echo chambers, and people just talk to
Yep.
themselves, and that's very hard to penetrate. So I think one of the things we can do, again, that's why it's so important for me to be here and to talk on every stage that I can get, is to get our messages across to the other side. Because most Muslims, I would dare to say 98% of Muslims, have never met a Jewish person, let alone a Jewish Orthodox rabbi or an Israeli. They've heard about us maybe in Al Jazeera or all kinds of other channels that don't really give an accurate portrait. And the same goes for Israelis and Jews. So in Israelis and Jews, that's probably a bit more, because 20% of Israel is Muslim Arabs. So you meet
Right.
them on the street, you meet them in all kinds of places. So more Israelis have encountered Muslims and Arabs, but still, much less than they meet other sectors. And one of the main efforts we need to do is create those encounters, but they have to be created in a certain way that has the desired impact. Because just putting people in a room,
Of course.
not interfaith work, it could actually lead to an explosion. It's not necessarily fruitful. You need to do it in a way that's based on, like I said, trust, based on learning, based on looking for similarities. It depends on the direction. How can I put it? It depends on what you're looking for, because you can find in those books, if you want to find violence in the Bible and the Quran, you'll find it. These books are very complex, like all ancient texts. They're very complex. That they contradict themselves internally. They have multifaceted interpretations. So if you want to read yourself into the text and find your own aggressions and violence, you'll find it, because those books are a reflection of human nature. They're a reflection
Right.
of human society. So we have those aggressions in us, so you can find it in the book. But you can also find other things. So it's encounters, it's media, it's education, and it's primarily serving as a role model and showing that there is a different path. That's what we did in Cape Town 3 weeks ago. That's what we did in Abu Dhabi in February. What we hope to do in numerous other conferences over the next few years, to actually show that there is a different path for Jews and Muslims to work together. And the main thing would be to actually, that's a very important point that Rabbi Yaakov continues repeatedly. We need to cut the connection between what it means to be a Muslim or a Jew and radical organizations. Because right now, they've sort of like hijacked the representation of what it means to be a Muslim. So if you want to be a Muslim, you have to go and follow their lead and behave the way they behave. And you need to show, no, there's a different path. Here are the imams and sheikhs and organizations that are 100% Muslim, devout, God-worshipping Muslims, and they live a different lifestyle and they connect with rabbis and Jews, and the same goes for us. So
They choose
I
light,
think
not darkness.
exactly, but the problem is that message is much harder to push through the algorithm on social media.
Of course.
Because the algorithm likes violence and polarization and blood, because that's what sells. So and sexual relations. Okay, but let's put that aside. So that's what sells best. So that's why that's what it promotes. Now we're in an uphill battle here to get our messages out there, and we just need to keep trying.
Wow.
Wow. Listen, you leave us like speechless. Really, it is like every question I ask, I feel like, I have so much to think on what you just said. I wanted to ask you though, there is something I really liked. You said connections before corrections, and I think it resonates with also Blender's theory of change. Like you come and study together Arabic, you also study Arabic with native speakers, and it puts you in a different kind of conversation. It's not riding a bicycle together or making hummus or whatever. It's doing something very meaningful. And I wonder how you feel about your Arabic studying journey, and did it help you in your work? And also, did it like teach you something that was meaningful for you?
Well, first, let me start with the problem. How come I don't speak Arabic if I live while living in the Middle East? And from all the mistakes that the Israeli education system has done over the years, the biggest mistake is that we don't learn Arabic as a second language from age 5 or 6. We used to on some schools. I studied some Arabic like when I was 11, 12 in school, like very basic Fusha. No, they taught us to ask Kaifa Haluka, like in a very, like,
Like
nobody speaks
Haluka, yes.
nobody speaks that way. That's like theoretical Arabic. Nobody really speaks that way anymore. It's like the Hebrew of Shai Agnon, like to Israelis. And so first of all, that's a systematic problem that we hopefully could change one day. Like if I were the Minister of Education, that's the first thing I would do, just to have everybody speak Arabic. There's no way we can blend into the Middle East without speaking Arabic. So that's one. So I tried learning Arabic by myself over the years, and I caught up in like the basic stuff, like Shu Ismak, when Tasaken, like all the basic stuff. But at some point, I realized that I really have to dig deeper, and then I took your courses. Now I'm taking personal tutoring, which is amazing. Like it's really every 2 hours you just jump to another level. And then I think one of the things that it really opened up for me was this book. Okay, this is you can read this, Chen. This is Ohr Torah.
Yes, Torah. Sadi Gaon.
The great master, Rabbi Sadi Gaon, who lived in the 8th century. And he translated, he was a native and fluent speaker of both Arabic and Hebrew. And he did a translation of the Torah, of the 5 books of Moses, into Arabic, into Hebrew Arabic, like Yiddish, like there's like a Hebrew version, a Jewish
Judeo
version.
Arabic. Iraqi Judeo Arabic.
Judeo Arabic. And he wrote it in Hebrew letters. And a few years ago, Yom Tov Gindi from Kfar Chabad, who is a native Syrian Arabic speaker, he actually turned it into Arabic letters that you can see here. So I started, as a result of the courses of Blender, I started reading this book very slowly, and it's very difficult for me. It's also very high level Arabic. But because I know the Hebrew text by heart, so when I read the verse in Arabic, I already know what's supposed to be written there. So it's easy for me to understand. And when you have a different another language, it's not just a technical tool. You get it's a gateway to culture. It's a gateway to understand the mindset. I won't go into examples here because if our audience doesn't speak neither Hebrew or Arabic, it won't make sense. But the structure of the language, like you will know this, like
you could give examples. It's okay. We have listeners from all kinds of. Maybe they know one of the languages.
In Arabic, you don't have the connecting word to or le. Like you cannot say I want to go. In Arabic, you would say bidi aruch, like I want go or want will go. So it changes how you think about things. It changes all the conjunctions that every noun can be changed into my, yours, ours, theirs, and that play of words, it creates a different mindset. Now, I'm too old at this point to absorb the mindset because for me it's a second language, so it goes to a different part of the brain. But I can understand how they think. But it can help me to understand how they see the world and how they would look at things. And it goes all the way to specific concepts or no. Let me give you one word that's very central in our field. Okay,
Please.
Sure.
someone who doesn't believe in religion. What's the word in Arabic?
It is kafir.
Kafir or kufar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Hebrew letter word would be kofer.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Latin the Latin word would be
I'm not sure.
pagan. Okay.
Pagan.
Now
Oh,
someone who worship idols. Now the word pagan in Latin means a periphery or a village. Now think about it. Kfar
Oh,
and
wow.
kofer, a village. Kfar is a
wow.
village in Hebrew, and kofer is an infidel. Kafir
Never thought of this.
is a village in Arabic, and kufar
Wow.
is an infidel in Arabic. So these are the same words, just with slightly different pronunciation.
That's so
Now,
interesting.
the idea here is that
This is the word of the day. This is
Yes, that
every
is the word
podcast
of
we
the
do
day.
the word of the day, and you just gave it.
so the thing is that you have this idea in Arabic, in Latin, that's Christianity, okay, because that's how they
Mm-hmm.
use the word pagans to distinguish themselves from the pagans, okay.
Right.
So it's not that people who live in a village are bad people. Okay, I live in a village. It's okay to live in a village. It's not in a kfar. It's not a bad thing. But what it says is that the way of God is the mainstream, is the city, is the broad road. That's
The
where
center.
the center. There's like one center. On the periphery, you have all those weird ideas, and that's where all the quirky ideas and the twisted ideas come from. So
Wow.
this idea can explain no, a whole range of things. Let me give you one more example, and then I will have to go in a few minutes, and you'll do with this whatever you want. I'm an economist by training, so I'm going to give you a mathematical example. It's not too difficult. Don't worry. You'll probably be able to solve
I have
it.
a BA in mathematics. I don't know if people know.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm
Okay.
playing with
My BA is
yeah.
in economics. So
Cool.
if I give you a series of numbers, okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. What's the next number?
Maybe 10,
10, and then
12.
12.
12, 14. Right? It's obvious. It's a no-brainer. There's no other option. But if you were to ask this question in ancient Mesopotamia, like 3,500 years ago, Babylon, parts of Greece, like our area basically, the answer would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 2, and then again and again in circles. Now, both answers are correct. It's not, so one is linear, one is cyclical. And at one point in history, humanity shifted from this cyclical mindset to the linear mindset. And the point
Okay.
it happens is in this book. When the Bible appears, the prophets of the Bible, they were the first to actually put forward the idea that we're not living in cycles, we're actually going somewhere. The time is moving, there's progress over time. There are cycles, of course, you cannot deny them.
Very
The yearly cycle,
interesting.
the daily cycle, we see it with the monthly cycle, it's in nature, but we're going somewhere. There's progress over time. And this idea, that's the bedrock of science, of human progress, of freedom. And that idea had huge implications. Now, going back to your question about language, so when you start looking at those details of specific words or specific concepts in theology, in culture, and you dig deeper, the deeper you dig, the higher you can climb back, because then you find points of connections that are deeper for people and meaningful for them. Because you can talk to Muslims and say, we share this concept. Forget about this verse or that verse. This concept
Right.
of God is being the
Tawheed.
center,
Yeah.
Tawheed, and the concept of progress through cycles. Like you have that and we have that. That's our mindset. Now we can discuss
Right.
on the periphery that
How?
verse and the other
Yeah.
verse and the other things, but that's the main thing.
Wow,
Wow.
incredible. If you had to deliver one message to a Jewish listener and one message to a Muslim listener, what would it be?
Well, I would end with a quote from our late Rabbi Menachem Fuhrman, and that same message goes both ways to Jews and Muslims and everybody. First, yes, we need to acknowledge that religion is a key part of the problem. I said this as an Orthodox rabbi, very committed to my religion, and yes, we are part of the problem, a big part of the problem. But religion is not going anywhere. We've seen the attempts to eradicate religion, and that didn't create any better world. Like in communism and Nazism, that wasn't any better version of humanity. And what he said, and what I would and we follow in his footsteps, is that if religion is part of the problem, it can and must be part of the solution. And I would add to that today I understand, and going back to what I understood on October 7th, and definitely it was motivated by religious beliefs, that there will not be a solution without going through the religious aspect. You cannot solve this by
Of
economic
course.
arrangement, just by interest, or just by
Right.
drawing the line here or there, 2 states, 3 states. That
No.
will come later. You have to solve the story, demystify the conflict, make religion part of the solution, and then we can move forward and figure out all the rest. So,
Wow.
inshallah, we'll
Inshallah, B'ezrat Hashem.
Inshallah.
take
Thank
a
you so
take
much
in
for
that
your
direction.
wisdom. Thank you.
Rabbi, it was amazing speaking with you. I think we need to do another chapter. Maybe our listeners should
Absolutely.
let us know
Another
what they
time.
think. Maybe when you don't have to run to your duty. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us and sharing us your wisdom. Mayan, do you have anything you want to add?
I'm just flabbergasted. I'm super excited. And thank you so much for your wisdom and for being here with us.
And for everything you
Okay.
do.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for having me. Maybe the next chapter you'll tell me how you two got together in the conference that we invited you to. So I need to hear that.
Well, definitely
Yes.
be happy to share that. So that's until next time, Rabbi.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Great.
time.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye for now.
Tot.
Bye.